What's up, boys? Today I have a nice meme build for you guys. I know you guys really like the other tank push. You guys got so many wins with it and even some salt. So today I have another tank push for you guys. And I really wanted to show you guys this build because I have been destroying pretty much every foreign Protoss with this. I owned Showtime and Neeb and Max packs. I think probably the three best ones pretty convincingly in tournaments. I think this build's really easy to execute and it's also pretty fast. I think this game is like 5 minutes or 6 minutes or something like that. So perfect for you guys. Gonna get some salt and easy ammo from the ladder. So we're gonna start out with the barracks first. 16 barracks as always, followed by the 16 gas. I think this build is actually pretty similar to a guide I released before, like last month somewhere, but it's slightly more all in, and it made all the difference, to be honest. Like I've been crushing with this. Every time I used it, I did win. And by now I've already used it against like pretty much all the Protoss, like I said. So now I can give my secrets away to you guys, help you guys get that promotion as well. So we're gonna scout at 18. This is actually important. You need to scout. And I'm gonna explain why later. Then another thing I want to add is this build opens with a Marine. And this is a tournament game you're watching, right? This was from a qualifier. So I have to say this build is better on maps with a ramp into the natural. And the reason for that is if you open Marine, because we're not going to be able to afford a bunker, if the opponent opens with a Stalker, they'll be able to kite your Marine forever and it's going to be pretty troublesome. So this build is definitely a bit better suited for maps with ramps. Think, for example, Pillars of Gold. So yeah, we're going to make one Marine and then a reactor. Another small tip is to not show the Marine unless you can kill the probe with it. Because if the Protoss knows you're going for a Marine, that means you can have a faster factory and it can in general hint them towards the kind of build you're doing. So if you're not going to kill the probe with the Marine, hide it. If you do get the probe with it, then use it to kill the probe, right? So we go one Marine into the reactor. Then what you do with the SCV is you simply check if there's a nexus. And then you're going to go back, but not really. You're going to go back to a proxy location. So then after the reactor, we get the depot. And the reason we don't get the bunker, of course, is that we're going to do a fast proxy. So you simply don't have the money for it. So once again, if you do have to choose a map to do this build run, choose one with a ramp in the natural. Like I said, Pillars of Gold, Oxide, the Romanticide, those are maps that have a ramp on the natural, so the Stalker doesn't have high ground vision, right? So you build the factory in a proxy location. Gas after that. Factory doesn't have to be too close. Like these kind of positions are ideal where it's definitely a lot faster. And more importantly, it's more hidden what you're doing. If the Protoss would scout, for example, with an hallucinated Phoenix towards the main, they wouldn't see anything. If Adepts would shade up onto the ramp, they wouldn't see any tanks or something like that. So that's why this position is ideal. You don't want to make it too close because then you risk it getting scouted. Like for example, if you would build it here, it might get scouted or something like that. So, try to use positions like this that are a lot closer to the enemy base than your own base, but hidden and not too close. So at home, what we do is really simple. Yeah, you just only make Marines. That's literally all you have to do in your main base. You make Marines and you make this. Then the factory is going to finish up. And then we're going to drop down a starport and a tech lab. I'll make sure to attach the replay in the description as well. So if you want to check it again at your own pace, make sure to download it from the description. So for now, all we do is making Marines at home. And then, of course, the saturation tip, as always, guys. Once you have 16 on minerals, 3 on gas, that's when you start rallying to the natural. Don't try to not get more than 17 on the main, because then the money will just be wasted. So this is what our proxy looks like. Tech lab finishes. Get this as fast as possible. One tip with builds like this. I'm pretty sure you don't have to cut SCVs with this build if you do it correctly. But if you do have to, like let's say you mismanage your economy a bit, it's better to make a unit than an SCV. Because this build, it's not completely all in, but it's a pretty strong pressure. So if you do have to choose between like starting your tank a bit earlier over making an SCV, then you should do it. You should always prioritize the units with these kind of all-in builds. For Terran macro games, especially TvP, it's usually better to make SCVs. But when you're doing either an all-in or like a pretty heavy pressure, make sure to prioritize the units. And the same goes for a depot, by the way. If you have to make a depot over an SCV, then make the depot because, you know, getting the units out is more important. And now maybe you guys remember the guide I did on Oxide TvP, where the build looked very similar. The main difference is here that we're going to have 2 tanks instead of 1. So you see gas times out perfectly if you do it well. 3 gas left after I start that tank. At home you're just making Marines. Now I did lose a few Marines because of an adept pressure. I traded 2 Marines for 1 adept, I believe, which is a good trade. And then roughly when your medevac finishes, you want to start moving across with your Marines. Now that means if you do it perfectly and you don't lose any, you're going to have 11 at this point. Or, you know, 13 if you wait for these. And basically you want to try to sync up your Marine move out with the tank drop. This, by the way, is normal, that the second tank finishes a little bit later than the medevac. Now, I prefer not to go super all-in, because a lot of times what happens is that I just do an insane amount of damage, but they don't really die. So then I want to have a macro transition. But if you really want to all-in, I don't think there's anything wrong with just putting all of these SCVs. For me, I'm just going to bring 3. I have 2 here, rallying behind, and then the 1 from the Proxy, of course. And the reason why you at least want like 1 or 2 SCVs is that in case you're going for a contain, like let's say he does have a battery set up already, he somehow scouted it, whatever, then you do want to be able to make some bunkers at the front, right? But here you can see why this is really strong. My opponent actually hasn't seen anything. He's still going for a blind immortal, which is good for him. But you can see how hard this hits. Like, you know, 11 Marines I think I have here, 2 siege tanks, a few SCVs. There's nothing these stalkers can do against it. I'm pretty sure this build is good against all kind of tech. Like I've won against Stargate, Twilight, Robo with it. In general, it's a super strong build. Obviously, siege up the tanks. One tip, if they do have a front battery for some reason, try to snipe off the battery first. So if he's not protecting the battery with his units, try to right click that first. If he is protecting, maybe siege a bit further back, so you don't risk like losing your tanks in range of a battery. So if a battery would be here, I would have sieged both my tanks here. Otherwise, I'm actually sure every single time I did this build, I had an overwhelming unit count, and I could just bulldozer in there. But if you do experience a situation where the Protoss is really prepared for whatever reason, has a battery at the front, just make sure to take care of the battery first. Immortal is always a priority, by the way. Sometimes you might think, but it has shield, should I target it or not? But always target the Immortal if you can. Because 2 tanks actually do a lot of damage on an Immortal, guys. Like, a lot of damage. Then, right now, this is literally what all my games look like, besides 1 that I did this build order, by the way. I think Mana's the only one that didn't die to my build right away. And in that case, my follow-up is to just start a 3rd command center and add 2 more barracks, fly these back after whatever you're producing is done. An alternative could be to swap and make a Raven and fly it home. That's also a pretty good follow-up. And from that on, it's just a normal macro game. Like, you know, I have a lot of videos about TvP macro games on my channel. Check those out if you want, or if you have your own macro style, that's fine too. You know, get extra barracks, get some gases, get a bunker at the front maybe, and that's it. But honestly, personally, I just want every time with this build instantly, besides the one time, like I said. And I think you guys are going to be able to steal some MMR as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Adios.